Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the charts, see what's going on there, and we'll cover a few interesting news pieces. I hope you're all doing great. This, of course, is not financial advice. Make sure to do your own research before investing money into crypto. So right now, Bitcoin is breaking all-time highs. We're sitting at $117,500 per Bitcoin, and the market cap is just past $2.3 trillion. It surpassed Amazon in market cap value, and right now Bitcoin is the number 5 asset in the world, right behind Nvidia, I think Apple, and obviously gold. If we jump into the price action chart, we have set these targets 150,000, 114,000 a very long time ago. We've probably seen this chart many times on our live streams and on my videos and on Patreon as well. And what we can see right now is that we have broken through the 1.414. That was one of our technical targets based on this Fibonacci retracement. So this would have been a great area to take some profits at 112 to 13 to $14,000, especially if you got in down here. One of my friends got into Bitcoin, I believe, at around $28,000 back during summer 2023. So he was buying this low essentially, and he ended up, he's still holding the Bitcoin, and he should be up roughly, 340%. That's great. In just a few years, that's great on an asset like this. That's amazing, and I don't think he's planning to sell anytime soon. With that being said, there is going to be a bull market top for this asset, and there will be a bear market for Bitcoin. Now, the next bear market may not be as deep as the previous one. So the previous one took us down approximately 77%. The next one may be a little bit less than that. Let's say we top off at $150,000, and let's say we have a 65% correction. That's going to take us down to $50,000. I think that is a relatively possible or plausible scenario. 65% correction. Let's say we do a 60% correction. That's going to be that's going to take us all the way down to $58,000. And right now we are on our way to the 1.618, and the 1.618 is our bull market target. That is probably when you want to get out of your assets, especially altcoins. Once we get past the old season that everyone has been waiting for, we have a target from this inverse head and shoulders pattern. So we have this left shoulder, this right shoulder here, and the head, and of course the neckline, which is the white horizontal trend line there, or like slightly ascending trend line. So we take the white trend line here that measures the distance between the head, the bottom of the head, and the trend line there, the neckline, and we place it at the point of breakout, which is over here in November 2024, and that should take us to roughly $129,000. Again, that's going to be another good target to take some profits from off of Bitcoin. Now, something else that we were looking at, if I go to the weekly chart now, that was the monthly chart. On the weekly chart here, we can see an ABC correction. So this was an irregular correction during wave 5. And right now we are still in wave 5 in this cycle because we are breaking new all-time highs. So something didn't go, or rather this didn't go according to my plan. I was not expecting to see this deep correction in 2025, right? At least in the first 6 months, at least, before May. I wasn't expecting to see that. Of course, the tariffs changed everything, but Bitcoin and the S&P 500 are reacting great. The M2 money supply has been our focus as of the past few months because Bitcoin is following that chart, the M2 global supply, global money supply. So this ABC irregular correction took us down towards the neckline, which was a perfect entry point. Look at this. I haven't touched this white trend line ever since we placed it there. So we broke through this resistance in November, we came back down, retested it as support, and now we're moving to the upside once again. This is incredible TA here. Incredible, rather bounce, I should say, not TA. And we're still in wave 5. So wave 5 presumably will take us to $150,000 or maybe somewhere between that. I think wave 5 is going to be shorter than wave 3 here. As long as wave 3 is longer than wave 1, then we're all good here. So technically speaking, wave 5 can be longer than wave 3. And this irregular correction that we had did not drop below the wave 3 top. Okay, so we're still valid. Everything is great here. We had a bounce off of the 55 EMA on the weekly in April, back in April 2025. And I told everyone, and I kept telling everyone throughout the years on the weekly chart, if you have a bounce off of the 55 on Bitcoin during a bull market, it's a great buying opportunity. And of course, everyone was afraid here. People thought we're going to a bear market. People were calling for 50,000 Bitcoin, and that didn't happen. I was not expecting that to happen. Obviously, we should all try to stay, we should always look at both possibilities, at both scenarios, but I was more leaning towards the continuation of the trend, and I outlined that in many of my videos, and as you can see, this played out very nicely. Hopefully altcoins will catch up. Ethereum is sitting at around 3,000. We're probably going to get an alt season. Maybe this will be a mini rally towards the end of August, and then we'll have another rally in Q4, and that should conclude this weird bull market. So we're looking at 150K for Bitcoin. Now, moving over to the RSI, I want to switch back to the monthly chart here because I want to outline something. We have a very nice bullish divergence. So if we take a look at the RSI right over here, so this is our RSI, our relative strength index, that essentially just tells us whether an asset is overbought or oversold. And right now we are in the oversold on the monthly. However, this doesn't mean that you have to immediately sell everything, because usually a bull market peak looks something like this, right? And I'm not saying it has to duplicate this every single time, but we're just barely past the index of 70. And something to look at here is these two lows here. So I think these are exact same lows. As you can see, August 2024, March 2025, we have like a double bottom pattern here. If you look at the price action, that's a higher low there. So this means we have a bullish divergence, and that is exactly what's playing out over here. Okay, a bullish divergence is playing out, and this seems to be, this was our looking glass into the future on the monthly chart. So that's something that I wanted to point out. But if we switch back to the weekly chart, look at this chart. This is great bounces off of the 55. We had one in 2024, we had one in 2025, and Bitcoin is not stopping anytime soon. So during the next bear market, I would be looking heavily into Bitcoin once we drop down to $60,000 to $50,000, which hopefully will be the levels we drop down to. I would hope for something even below that, but the markets don't follow what we want. The markets do whatever the markets want to do, or whatever the big boys want the markets to do, if you want to be more accurate. Now we are in the overbought on the stochastic RSI as well. This is more of a short to mid-term indicator, and the RSI is more of a mid to long-term indicator. So if you're looking for short-term trades, you can take a look at taking some profits off of Bitcoin. If you're trading it on a weekly basis, then maybe some profits, take them off the table, maybe take out your initial investment and then wait for a retracement. But of course, this is not financial advice. You don't have to do what I tell you, and I'm not telling you to do anything. You just have to apply your own strategy. But if you're looking at some of these oscillators here, the RSI is also coming up to the overbought on the weekly. So we may have a pullback in the next few weeks. Maybe it's going to happen after August, maybe closer to September. But keep in mind, we are expecting the interest rates to be cut in September. That could add more fuel towards this pump. So there's no telling if we are going to be crashing down anytime soon. Okay, so Bitcoin is looking pretty bullish. We're still targeting $150,000. If we go past that, so be it. But as long as our targets are met, that's all that matters. Of course, keep an eye on the macro. And this is a video essentially with Larry Fink, how he was extremely bearish on Bitcoin. So was Trump. And, that was a great way to get to prevent all of the small investors, right, the retail, from buying into Bitcoin. You could believe that he's just changed his mind, but these people are way smarter than us. So if me and you understood that Bitcoin is going to be a massive asset, then Larry Fink definitely knew that. So this was a strategy that they were implementing. And right now, if you take a look at the BlackRock holdings, so BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF surpassed $80 billion in assets, becoming the fastest ETF to get there. So this is, this doesn't happen by accident. They didn't just flip-flop their opinion on Bitcoin. They just, made the narrative seem what it was, and now the narrative is being changed, obviously. So the past week saw an inflow of $2.7 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is great. And again, another example of a big boy turning from bearish to bullish on Bitcoin. Now, as president, he created the US Strategic Reserve and celebrates new all-time highs. But 6 years ago today, Donald Trump said this on Twitter: "I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air." Kind of like the US dollar. "Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior," kind of like the US dollar, "including drug trade and other illegal activity." Kind of like the US dollar, Mr. Orange Man. But of course, this was all part of a, laid out plan, in my opinion. You can let me know what you think down below in the comments. But now Trump is extremely bullish on Bitcoin, and he wants the US to be a crypto capital. Okay. Now, Shanghai reveals that officials held a meeting this week to consider strategic responses to crypto. And of course, China wants to be in the crypto talk, but with their restrictions, they're trying to see what the best way is not to give people a lot of exposure to crypto or not too much exposure to crypto. So we'll see what comes out of China regarding crypto, but anything remotely bullish is going to affect the price of Bitcoin in a significant way, in my opinion. And you can add the interest rate cuts in September, and you can add the new Federal Reserve chair that's going to be appointed, I believe, in the first half of 2026, probably April, if I'm not mistaken, April or May 2026. And that person will probably be one of Trump's nominees, right? He's looking at people like Mike Besant. So those people are one of them is probably going to end up being the chair of the Federal Reserve, and they will be cutting rates. They will follow through with Trump's policies, and essentially they'll be doing Trump's bidding, which is expected. And, all things considered, that should be positive for assets like stocks and crypto. So we're going to be waiting for that to happen, and we're going to take advantage of that. These people take advantage of us, so we might as well take advantage of the things they do, and we might as well capitalize on some gains here in the stock market and crypto. There are other assets that I would be looking into right now, such as silver. I can drop a video on silver pretty soon on my YouTube channel here. It has been out on Patreon for a while now, but I'll drop it very soon. Silver is moving up as well, and it looks like it's going to be a triple-digit asset in the next 5 to 10 years. But I want to thank you all for watching this video. Let me know, what are your expectations from Bitcoin? Are you happy that the price is moving up, or were you expecting a longer correction so that you can buy more altcoins? Thank you all for watching. Stay safe and have a great day.